Почитувани гледачи на ОТВ, добре дојдовте во уште едно интервју. Сега ви представуваме една меѓународна организација преку Лили Вигинс, која е заменик програмски директор на IREX на проектот за решавање на проблеми во заедницата, во слободен превод или Community Solution Program. Лили, добре дојде. И ти благодарам што прифати да разговараш со нас при оваа кратка посета во Прилеп.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Ајде за почеток представи ни го проектот Community Solution Program. За кого е, што нуди, која е мисијата?
So the Community Solutions Program is been around for about 15 years, and it is a program that is funded by the U.S. Department of State, and it engages civil society leaders in about 100 countries all over the world on a fellowship where they have the opportunity to come to the United States for about 3 months and work at a nonprofit or government agency across, in cities across the United States that are working in civil society in topics such as youth engagement, peace and security, civic engagement, democracy. And so it really is a great benefit for American communities and American nonprofits because they get the benefit of having someone from another country who's also engaged in similar topics or doing similar work or maybe slightly different, coming from a different context, and have the opportunity to bring that expertise to the U.S. organization. In addition to the in-person practicum and the working experience that fellows go through, they also engage in a virtual leadership course, so a graduate level leadership course with an executive leadership coach. So they are learning some hard skills and doing work in an organization, and then they're also developing as a leader, so that they can level up and even have a greater impact in their home communities. Following the 3 months in the United States, fellows return to their home communities and implement a community action project for 6 months, where ideally they're applying their learnings from the fellowship and investing back in the communities that they come from.
Ти водиш лидерската компонента на програмата. Што значи лидерство во контекст на CSP?
Can be outlined by looking at the guiding principles that we use on the CSP program. So these are principles that we introduce to fellows, and we as staff members on the Community Solutions Program also abide by. And they're sort of the values of what we practice in implementing the program, and also what we see as important characteristics for a good, engaged, effective leader. So the first is lifelong learning, so approaching work with curiosity. Of course, we have people with extensive experience coming to the U.S. and learning, but also teaching and also sharing, their best practices and their processes. And so that's also done through personal reflection. So every fellow creates a personal leadership plan, which is a document that was created by Dr. Deidre Combs, who's our executive leadership coach, who does a lot of the theory behind the leadership curriculum. So it's a lot about thinking about who you are as a leader, what is your style, what is your tendency, and approaching the work with an open mind and engaging in lifelong learning. Another key value is practicing integrity, so following through on your actions, having boundaries, addressing conflict straight on. It's important as a leader to be able to overcome challenges and obstacles and do that in a respectful way. We always say on our team, clear is kind, so having clarity can be helpful for everybody who you're leading. And we also practice care and consideration with each other and with ourselves. So that is about, leaders, especially in civil society, are doing difficult work where they get burnt out. And so a big part of the leadership curriculum is developing your own personal resiliency, caring for yourself so that you can then continue to care for your community, and also establishing what it means to be an ethical leader. So how do you, how do you make sure that you are practicing empathy towards others and making decisions that are in the best interest for your community, for your organization, for the people that you're leading. And also that can be motivational as well, to have a leader who people see is compassionate and cares about them. And then the last guiding principle is acting, so creating positive change. So not just talking about, what you want to do or talking about the problems that you see in your community, but acting on them and serving as a model for, servant leadership we talk about a lot, and that's a big value as well. So going out in the community and sort of doing what you expect people in your community to be doing and showing that as a leader.
Како ги одржувате поврзаноста и активноста на алумните по завршувањето на програмата?
So at this point, we have just over 1,000 CSP alumni worldwide, which is really amazing. And we try to take several different approaches. Of course, some are, much older now, if they did the program 15 years ago. We recognize that people have lives, they have jobs, they have families. So we try to offer different levels of alumni engagement. So it could be, a virtual alumni reunion for an hour where you reconnect, where you talk about the work you're doing and maybe find a connection with someone from a different cohort or someone from a different year or someone from a different country. We also offer some mentorship programs, so alumni can serve as mentors for new fellows and sort of share their experience and give tips because they've been through it. And one of the really amazing opportunities that we offer is a small grant an alumni or a fellow can apply to receive money from the CSP program to work on a project in their community. And so alumni can travel from Macedonia to Kenya to collaborate if they're doing similar work, or a US partner can travel to the country of the alum or the fellow and provide a training or do a workshop or get to see the work that they're doing. And that's a really amazing way that we've continued to support the work that's being done around the world. And then also Americans, the US partners that get to travel can also then bring that back and enrich the American communities with the learnings that they've acquired as well.
Lili, има ли некоја приказна на учесник која што посебно те инспирирала, која што можеш да издвоиш?
Yes. So there's so many fellow stories that are inspiring. I think the one that brings me here to Macedonia, the connection between a fellow and the U.S. host in New Orleans, and really zooming in on local government and the Clementina, the fellow from Macedonia, really knowing the local government in New Orleans so well and being able to increase the capacity of what they were able to do when she was there, and now producing a beautiful resource for that hopefully can be implemented and used and serve her community well with the input of her host and other folks that she spoke to in New Orleans. But I think the stories that inspire me most are the ones that sort of show the long-term effects of collaborating. And I talked to many alumni of the CSP program who came back to their communities and started a small project, and now 5 years later they're just getting funding, or it's been registered as a nonprofit. There's one fellow that I recently spoke to from Uganda who started a trauma-informed care for youth when he returned to Uganda in 2022, and he just got it registered as a nonprofit. It's just grown and grown and grown. So it's been really amazing to hear those kinds of stories.
Што твоето искуство, затоа што ги имаш големо во работата со млади, кажува кој е најдобриот пат, најдобриот начин за развој на младите?
Yeah, so I think engaging youth is so important, and showing youth that they have the capacity to make change in their community at any age is critical for developing a culture of community activists and people who invested. I think listening to young people and giving them agency and legitimizing their challenges is really important, especially in sort of taking a positive youth development approach. So, you're affirming that they are in fact facing issues and they do have, real solutions and legitimate solutions. I think mentorship is also a really important key for supporting young people and developing young people, showing them possibility models. Intergenerational mentoring can be really, really, really powerful. Also peer mentoring and allowing youth to hear from other voices, and giving them a way to see how others before them have done it or see what others are doing, and have that sort of constant feedback loop.
Како патувањата го влијаеле, го формирале твоето лидерство? Како ти го влијаеле врз твоето оформување на тоа што го работиш?
Yeah, I've been so fortunate to travel through this work all around the world, and I think my own experience on a fellowship living abroad has just changed my perspective and made me a more effective leader. I think it's also taught me a lot about my own country. I think, that's something that I hear often, is having the ability to meet with people that are from a different country, that are from a different context. You really start to understand more about your own and understand more about your own culture and what are the challenges and where can you push. And I think it's also helped me become a much better communicator. When you travel around the world and you have language barrier, cultural barriers, you really have to make a lot of mistakes and sort of get through that. And I think it's really helped me in my own personal development as a leader to be able to communicate with different types of employees and different types of peers, people with different working styles, and sort of how to be clear in your communication, but also understand that there's cultural and so many other things going on with every person.
Да го завршиме разговорот со неколку брзи прашања. Омилен дел од работата?
Favorite part of my work is anytime I get to talk to a fellow and learn something new about their culture, their country, their traditions. I just love that.
Еден збор што го опишува CSP.
Transformational.
Лидер што те инспирира?
This is unconventional, but Dolly Parton, not only for her music, but because she's dedicated her life to community work, and she does so much community work and so much literacy work, and I think she's inspiring.
Што би им препорачала на младите кои што сакаат да направат промена?
I think it's important for young people to know that they can start changing things now. They can, I would encourage young people to talk to people, to see what's involved in their community, to see what their leaders are doing, to observe, city council meetings, to write to their representatives, to try as much as they can to know what's going on in their own community and start there, and the world will open for them from there.
Lili, ти благодарам за разговорот. Thank you very much, and hope you see you in New York.
Yes, you're welcome anytime. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Аз ви благодарам што гледавте, се гледаме во некоја друга прилика.